Hey, in this one we're gonna learn about GitLab CI/CD artifacts, which are a way to save files that are generated by your jobs and then either make them available to download for your personal usage or for just tracking what happened in the job or to reuse them in later jobs. So as you can see, I have again an empty repository, which I've cloned on my machine. And like always, we're gonna create a GitLab CI YAML file in which we're going to declare two stages, one called create file, the other one is going to be called show file. And so create, which is gonna just have a script that echoes hello into some file. And also I forgot to declare a Docker image that all my jobs will use. And let's also make it create a directory to show that you can also just save a whole directory in artifacts into some directory other file. I forgot to have the stage. The stage is create file. Let me just copy paste what I have in my earlier tests. So I have a show job that is in the show file stage, and it will cat this file and the file that we saved in the directory, which is like so. And so how you, of course, this is not done automatically. You have to say that you want artifacts. Don't worry about all that. So you just use the artifacts keyword, and then you say path. And here you can just list all the paths of the file or directories you want to save. And in our case, it will be some file and also some div. And for directories, it will save recursively all the content of the directory. You can also have wildcards. So if you only want to keep like the Python files in some directory, you can do that. You can also have recursive glob patterns where it will search all subdirectories for the Python files and so on and so on. But in our case, it's much simpler. We just want to save the whole directory. And yeah, that's pretty much it for our simple example. Let me just commit this. Add, create and show. And let's just go back here and go in the pipelines tab and see our pipeline running. All right, it's done. So we see that we have a create file and show file stage with the create and show jobs. And let's just go into the create job, which, as you see, created the some file and some other file with the directory. And here you can see on the right, we have job artifacts, which you can download or browse. Let's just browse them. And as you can see, we have some file and some directory, which you can, of course, download on your own machine if you want. Let's go back. And besides downloading them and just having a trace of what happened in the job, you can go in later stages, so the show job, which here just outputted the file. So you can see that it downloaded the artifacts from the previous job, which is quite useful if you want to, I don't know, for example, if you want to create a virtual environment in Python, then you want to reuse that virtual environment in multiple other jobs later down the line. It can be useful to output a report, maybe like a coverage report or a unit testing trace, this kind of stuff. Maybe now I want to show you some options that you can have with artifacts besides the path. One of the very useful option is expire in. For example, like this, 30 days. This will just set, I think by default, it will use like the global expire. So if your administrator sets the expire in 30 days, it will use that. It can also be expiring to just never. But in your case, you can specify like 3 days or 30 days or You can also specify never. This is all in the documentation, which I will link to. So if you go into artifact expire n, you can see that you can have like even 4 minutes or something like that. Other useful keywords are you can have the access. So if everyone can download the thing or only developers, you can have artifacts. You can save them only if the job is successful, the default, or always even if it fails, saving them, or just always. You can by default, like, there's an untracked, so this will, if you put this to true, if you say untracked true, this will by default save all the files that are not tracked by Git. So everything that is in your git ignore and is included. There is exclude, which you can like include a directory but then exclude some file inside of that directory, which is useful in this case. You can see they ignore the object files after compilation. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, yeah. One last thing I would like to touch on for artifacts is that by default you can use them. So if it is created in the create file stage, every stage after that can reuse the artifacts by default. Last stage, let's just have some random last stage. Up. Like so. So this will be okay. Like this last stage, even though it's like not right before the create one, right after the create one, it will still have some file available to it. But sometimes you don't want this because downloading the artifacts for every single job after may hinder your performance, especially if you have like heavy artifacts like a virtual environment with a lot of libraries inside of it. So what you can do is specify that with the dependencies keyword, which job you will depend on. So this is just a list of previous jobs. So if I say create, this will say I only need the artifacts from the create job. And so it will only download the artifacts from that job. But if I say just nothing, it will skip the download of the create job of its artifacts, and then it will be a bit faster. And so in this case, this will fail because some file does not exist, but let's still show it. Last stage, like so. Let's go back to here. And so yeah, here if we go, we see that the create and show job succeeded, but in the last stage where we specify the dependencies were nothing, it did not download the artifacts from create, and so some file does not exist and it failed. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about artifacts. They're quite useful, and yeah, see you in the next one.